Welcome back to the 1090 podcast. I'm here with my brother's family. Wife, Keshia. Daughter, Faith. Son, Ran. Race and Ryder, obviously not here. Sorry. 3-year mark. What does that even do to you guys when you hear that? Like, that's going to be 3 years.
It doesn't. I feel like, Ran, go ahead.
You're the one talking. I don't know.
I don't know. Does it feel like it's been 3 years? I don't feel like it's.
I kind of feel like it's just a different life. Like, it's the classic. It feels like forever ago and yesterday at the same time, I think. Like what everyone says when they've lost a loved one, I think. But I think that's the best way to explain it.
Yeah, I agree. And maybe like we've lived 10 different lifetimes since then, you know?
Yeah, it's kind of like when you have kids and then you try to think back to life before you had kids and you just have a hard time. Like, what did we even do or believe in or say? Like, that's kind of how I am too with it. But then, like, if I hear, like, a buddy of mine, like, oh, my dad passed away 3 years ago. To me, that sounds, like, really fresh. Like, when I'm on the outside. I'm like, oh, like, that just happened. So, it seems new and old at the same time to me. But thank you for talking with me. I went from not talking about it to like falling in love talking about it. And it's scary because you never really know what to say or how it's going to go. But having you three here is just awesome, and thank you. And we're in this together for better or for worse. So we should have a good episode today. Life's 10% what happens to you and 90% what you're going to do about it. Welcome back to the 1090 podcast. Life's 10% what happens to you, 90% what you're going to do about it. I'm here with Ran, Sawyer, Faith, Sawyer, Keshia, Sawyer.
I'm glad you did that. Separate Sawyers.
Yeah, you know, just
So
really
efficient.
giving you each your own. So we wanted to post this on the 25th, 3-day anniversary. This is actually
3 day.
Yep,
3
3 days.
years. Hey, we just talked about this. Feels like 3 days. Feels like 3 years. But this is actually not the 25th. We're recording this on the 15th. We just got done with a family vacation. You guys are about to go to Hawaii. Are you guys exhausted or what's going on with you guys?
A little bit.
Isn't the month of July is a rough one?
It's true.
You got accident, you got Keshia's birthday, Kortni's birthday. Franki's birthday is end of July. Riggins' birthday is August 2nd. Blue's birthday is the 29th. There's just a lot going on.
Mm-hmm.
How about real quick, what do you guys, maybe Ran and Faith, you can answer this. Your dad, Reace, if you had to tell me like his top 4 favorite TV shows, what would you pick? Maybe we'll start there and then we'll get into it today.
You first.
Probably Peaky Blinders.
That's why it's on my calf.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Maybe the One Hoarders show.
I did not know this. Really? He
I
watched
wouldn't
the
say
Hoarders?
it's a lot, yeah. I just remember in the St. George house he had it on all the time.
Would you rather be a hoarder or a minimalist? Like hardcore minimalist, like one jacket.
Oh, easy. Minimalist.
Minimalist. I'd
Hoarders
say.
are so
Ran?
cute.
Hoarder.
Thanks, man. Way to mix it up. I'll hoard some stuff too. One
Yeah,
jacket.
everyone's a little bit of a hoarder.
Just
That's
one
true, I
Metallica
agree.
shirt. Yeah, I'll hoard it up.
That's true.
You owe me 2 more. I'm shocked with the hoarders. I didn't see that coming. Keshia's shaking your. You don't. Agree.
I wouldn't say it's his favorite, but like that's the first thing that came to my mind.
Ran, you want to joke? You got anything yet?
Yeah, he X-Men. He
The
liked
cartoon or the movie?
cartoons and
Yeah.
movie. Probably cartoon and you guys were kids. But
We-
then movies.
Yeah, dude. Saturday morning. I think Ram's
He-Man.
right.
And he liked.
He looked some He-Man back in the day.
Yeah, he did love He-Man. I forget. He-Man, I was a little too young for that, but him and Sage, I think, liked He-Man. I
He
have the
liked
power.
Fight Club.
It's his
Yeah.
favorite, that's his favorite movie, I think.
What a pick for favorite movie. Like, I wish that was my favorite movie. Like, that's a cool favorite movie pick. One of my favorites.
It fits Race, right?
It fits Race so good.
Tyler Durden. What's your favorite Durden quote?
Favorite Durden quote? He has like a small one. I read the book. He has one that's like, where would Jesus be without the apostles? I like that one.
That's funny.
It's just like a lot of quotes about like anti-establishment type stuff. They're so long. I can't really give you a quote off the top of my head.
Yeah, they are long.
I remember reading the book. I'm like, this is so good. You know what book I want to read that Race loved is that McFoley book.
Oh, yeah. Did I give it to you?
Yeah, I have it. I want to read it. I'm trying to read like 3 books right now.
I think that McFoley book is probably like the first biography he ever bought.
He loved it.
And was obsessed with it.
Yeah, and me and him used to watch this. It was called TLC, Tables, Ladders, and Chairs. And it was like this VHS tape of Mankind and the Hardy Boys just wrecking people. Me and Race like watch it all the time. And would go to the Tramp and he'd suplex me and make me cry and stuff. Okay, let's get into it here. Keshia, I want to just dive into the day of the accident. Haven't really talked about it with you guys yet, which is kind of mind-blowing. So I want to talk about that with you guys. Keish, before we dive in, maybe just tell the listeners how you fell in love with my brother or something real quick.
I love
how'd
that.
you meet him?
So,
I met Court at West Jordan High School, and that's where you met Race, right?
Yeah. We met at West Jordan High School, Jags for Life.
Dope day. It's a great day to be a Jaguar.
Funny story. It's a great day to be. That's what they did on like the announcement, huh? You were there.
Yeah.
We met at one of Patty's parties. Like he was having a party when his parents were out of it.
What's Patty's real name? Patrick?
Brendan.
Not even Patrick.
Brendan Patrick Pearson.
So real quick, can I just jump in? I have to tell this Patty story. It's so funny.
Go.
Race is in high school, so I'm a little kid. Patty calls the house, and I answer it, and he's like, "Is Race there?" And I'm like, "Yeah, 1 second." And this is like the phone's connected to the wall, right? It's like, so I'm yelling to Race. I'm like, "Race, the phone's for you." And he's like, "Who is it?" And what's his real name again?
Brendan Patrick.
He's like, "It's Brendan or whatever." So I yell out, "Brendan." He's like, "No, he has to go by Patty or else I'm not talking to him." And he like hears Race yelling this. So he's just like, "Tell him it's Patty." And then I'm like, "It's Patty." And then he takes the phone. It's just messing with,
That's amazing.
with Patty. Anyway, sorry. Keep going.
So Patty had like a party. His parents were out of town and Race was filming everything. I remember that's the first time I met him. He was in like videography school.
Yeah, he did Jag
whatever.
TV and he would make WWF home wrestling videos with his buddies.
Yeah. So he had the video camera as per usual, which just like his dad. And Steve. And he was filming me around everywhere, me and Britton. And Britton was one of my friends,
Britton Willis, not to name drop, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
She was like, "That's me." Anyways, and so that's when I met him. But he was off limits because he was dating Britton, and I was off limits because I was dating Patty. But then they both served LDS missions. Reace went to Florida, Patty went to Mexico. And when they got home, Britton and Race came to meet Faith. Faith was 3 months old when Race got home from his mission. And I just remember Race holding Faith and being like, "Oh my gosh, there's something that I really like about this human, and I don't know why I like him so much." And then the rest is history. Literally, we were inseparable after that. I think we were engaged 3 months later and married 7 months later.
Yeah. And then you had Ran.
And then we had Ran, honeymoon baby.
And then you had Ryder. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you guys had 3 kids, like all like boom, like.
I had 3 kids by the time I was 23 years old.
That's wild.
Crazy, huh? But Reace always said he wanted 12 until we had Ran, and then he was like, "Oh."
Yeah, I wanted 5 until Kortni and I had Franki, and then we're like, I think we're good with,
We're
with
good.
3.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah. Yeah, so you guys have this family. You guys moved around a bunch. You guys are moving like every year or two. Typical race fashion, I would say. Just mixing it up. And then you guys moved. When did you guys move to St. George?
Do you remember the year, Tom?
2019?
My 7th grade year, your freshman year?
Yeah.
My
I think
son?
Rand's right, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, 2019.
2019, and then
20, yeah.
Kortni and I moved down 2021.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, so Rand's playing football. Faith's going to Tuacahn, right? That's what you're doing?
Mm-hmm.
Ryder's doing his thing. Kortni and I moved down. And then Rand and Faith, I don't know if you guys probably remember, but we started hanging out all the time when Kortni and I moved down because Ryder would babysit. Mm-hmm. So we kind of had a thing going. And then every summer we have the family reunion. And I don't think I ever missed a family reunion except my LDS mission. And I couldn't go because I just took that job at Nets on Fire. So Kortni and I weren't going to go. And then I think it was Friday. Or I don't know, honestly, what day. But
No idea.
I don't know.
Clue.
But like a couple days before the reunion, Kortni comes up to me. He's like, hey, I think I'm going to take the kids to the family reunion. I'm like, great. You like call Reace and Keshia, see what they got going on. And you guys had a similar thing. Like, Rand, what were you doing? Do you remember?
Football.
You had football, and you were playing for Snow Canyon? Who were you playing for?
I think it was at this point, it was my freshman year.
Okay.
Right? So I had high school tryouts, so I didn't want to miss.
Were you going to a middle school, or were you going?
I was in
Snow Canyon.
8th grade going into my 9th grade. Like, it was summer, so I was going to be a freshman.
Yeah.
So you had football, and then Faith, what did you have? You
had work.
You had work.
Fabulous Freddy's.
Yeah.
No, the car wash.
Yeah. Couldn't miss that shift.
People need their soda drinks, you know?
That was like your last income. Like, since then. I don't think it worked.
The last paycheck Faith ever got.
Yeah, I think it is.
Jack.
It's not.
He's saying dead serious.
Rand just.
I worked at Lifetime this year.
Well, you have like a good excuse for why you haven't made any more.
That's great. And then Keshia, you had work too, right? Or
she didn't want to go.
No, Rand Harper.
I ain't lying.
You got the middle name, dude. That's
didn't
when you
wanna
know it's
drive.
not good.
I was shuffling this kid around football.
Yeah.
And I taught, but I
Do
couldn't.
you guys ever think about that? Like, what if you went? What if you type of thing? Or do you guys not play that what if game? Or maybe you used to and you're done with it?
I don't think I've ever played that what if game.
Why?
To be honest.
Why not?
Can't go there. My brain like doesn't allow me to go there, to be honest. I start and then it's just like zip. So
I used to. I used to be like, if just one of us would have won, we would have taken different cars.
that's true.
I think about that all the time.
Yeah, that's what I always do.
That's true.
Yeah, and I always so I just have like this spot in my chest for you guys. Like I'm just like if I went with them, then maybe your dad and brother would be alive, and so I actually used to be scared that you guys were like mad at me for so long, and then I think therapy helped me show that like I was wrong, or maybe you guys still are mad at me. I don't know, but like what like. Yeah, I don't know if I ever told you sorry for that. And I don't know if I need to, but obviously I didn't know it was going to happen, but like I think about that all the time. And I also think about I almost took the shuttle. I was so close to just taking the shuttle cuz okay, I didn't think Ryder went either. I didn't think any of the kids went. I didn't think Faith ran or Ryder went. And so I thought there would be room for me. I'm like, I'll take the shuttle down and ride back with them. And then I didn't realize Ryder was with them until, well, we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves. But when I told Faith and Keshia in the car, and Keshia, you said, my precious Ryder, that was the first time it like hit me like, oh, like Ryder was in the car too. And
Yeah, because you said Ryder was in the car. And I was
yeah.
like,
And so I think about, like, even if I was in the wreck with him, like maybe people are sitting in different spots and it just changes things. I play that what if game a lot. Keshia, Ran used to do it, but not anymore, Ran.
No.
You mad at me for the car accident? All right, I needed to hear that.
That makes sense. All your fault.
Just took a camera in front of you for peer pressure to say, yeah, it's fine. No, seriously though, like, I think you guys can relate to like how grief is very not linear. It's very chaotic. And like when I'm in the low of lows, like I have those thoughts and a lot of shame and guilt. So just wanted to say that. Glad I got that out of the way early. You guys didn't go. Kortni's like, I want to go. Like, great, call Reace and Keshia. And so Reace is like, well, Faith can't go, Rand can go. Keshia can't go. But me and Ryder can go. And then I guess they decided to take our car. I mean, obviously.
it was a bigger car.
Was it? I don't even remember.
Hey, we had like a Kia and
A Kia
Oh, yeah,
Soul
you had
and
that
a
box
Subaru.
car.
we didn't have no.
Yeah.
Stick shift.
That was an awful car.
$5,000 out the door.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they went together. And then,
I'm gonna stop you right there.
yeah, stop me whenever.
Well, because these are probably the little details that are hard for you to hear, and maybe for everyone to hear. Maybe we don't even know them. But Kortni came to pick Reace up. Is this jumping ahead too much?
No.
Kortni drove over to our house to pick Reace and Ryder up. And she was like out front. And for whatever reason, I was like, I got to write her a letter. And Reace is like, no. Kortni's waiting for us in the driveway. And he hated if people had to wait on him.
Yeah, well, maybe not like the slowest form of communication known to man. Like, shoot, like,
He
can you
had
just
a
go out there
phone.
and say hi to her?
He had a phone. I could have texted him.
I should write her a letter.
I had to write him a letter for whatever reason. So I wrote the letter as quick as I could. And he's like, okay, you got to hurry. But I wrote the letter and then I just like kind of snuck it in his backpack just because I knew one of his love languages was words of affirmation. I knew it would mean a lot to him. So I wrote him the letter, gave Reace a big hug, gave him a kiss.
I've never heard of this. Mm-hmm. Where's this letter?
You found the letter. Remember you gave it to me?
I have the letter?
No, you gave it to me, remember? Somebody
I do remember this
from the
now.
accident.
Wait, I thought that was the letter for Ryder.
That was the letter for Ryder.
Oh, okay, I misheard you. I thought you wrote a letter to Kortni.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Oh, sorry. No, to Ryder.
Okay, so you wrote a letter to Ryder.
Yeah.
Oh,
Right.
I totally know what you're talking
Yeah.
about then. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm with
Then
you.
I
Sorry.
snuck it in his bag and anyway, on he went. And actually he was picking up Reace because Ryder had stayed at your mom's for the week prior to hang out with cousins. It was summer break. So I wanted Ryder to have a letter from his mom when he opened up his bag full
Yeah, I
of
remember
all
that.
his stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I had
there's
that
that.
letter for so long, like randomly, like on my dresser. I'm like, I need to give this to Keshia. And like a year went by, first like, and I finally gave it to you.
Yeah.
So they get in the car, they go. I don't know about you guys. I don't remember that weekend. I don't remember coaching. We coached a tournament. I don't remember it. That whole weekend is just kind of a blur.
It's a blur, but I remember texting you right after I looked it up just to make sure I wasn't just making things up.
Yeah, I
'cause
remember
think
this
our
too.
mind is
You're
up.
like,
remember?
Go ahead, yeah.
I think I said something like, does it feel weird that they're gone?
Yeah.
That's not something that I would usually text you. Like, something feels really weird that they're gone. Like, are you okay? Are you missing them a lot? Like, I was missing them a lot. You're like, yeah, I guess so. It's weird.
Yeah, I do remember this. And I just remember thinking, like, that's like a weird text
Yeah.
to say, but like, okay.
And it felt weird for me to text it, but I felt so much weird energy about it that I, like, needed to express it.
Yeah, that was like a couple days before even, maybe. I want to say. I could be totally wrong, though.
It was.
They're driving back. It's Sunday. Kortni and I, we got that house, but we can't move in for a couple months. So we're living in that tiny apartment. And I have a Harley that I never get to ride because we have 3 kids, so I just can't really ride it that much. And we're living in this tiny apartment, so I have nowhere to keep my motorcycle. So my motorcycle is at my buddy Jake's house, Jake Schroeder. And so I text Jake, and I'm like, hey, it's Sunday. I'm waiting for my family to come home. I just want to take my bike out for a ride. Can I come get it? So I drive my car, I drop it off. I take out my motorcycle, and I go for a ride. Come back to the apartment, same time. Like, I try to time it, like they'd be coming home as I got home. I'm just trying to waste time because I miss them. I'm just anxious to see them. I'm like, I need to do something. Mm-hmm. So I take my motorcycle out, come back. They're not home yet. And again, you guys can jump in whenever. But then I remember pulling out my phone when I get off my motorcycle, and I think you either called me or maybe it was a text.
I can jump in if you want.
Did I call you back? I think I called or texted you back.
Yeah, so while you were on your ride, the weather was getting funky.
It was terrible weather. It was terrible. I had to pull off because it was so bad.
Yeah, it was windy and starting to get rainy, and it started, the energy when the weather changes just shifts anyways, naturally, but I started to feel weird.
I felt weird on my motorcycle when I turned off.
Yeah.
And I think about that moment a lot too. Because I wonder like if that was them.
I think of this moment a lot.
I think about that a lot because I felt something so
palpable,
sure, good word, that it made me pull over. Like I pulled over, I guess mostly to do with the weather too, but like I remember feeling something.
Me too. So I was feeling that too, and at the time I was cooking like spaghetti, which is Race and Ryder's favorite, like homemade spaghetti, and just making sure that everything was perfect for when they came home, because I was also super anxious to see them. Faith was watching The Office and just laying in the living room, but I felt so off. So I started to feel like I needed to call them. So I started calling Race. Nothing.
What time?
No idea.
It was like 7.
Was it that late?
It's like the only thing I remember. It was like 7 p.m.-ish. Or no, maybe 7 was when.
It could have been 1 p.m.
It could, yeah.
I have no idea. But it was later.
Yeah.
I guess I do remember when Jake drove me up north, it was dark like the whole time, maybe, actually. Anyway, yeah. Keep going.
Well, before this, even before I taught a yoga class that morning, I had connected to my Bluetooth, but Ryder had texted me or called me, but I was connected to my Bluetooth, so I couldn't answer. But I remember texting him and being like, hey, I'm about to teach class. Are you okay? He's like, yeah, we're just on our way home from Bear Lake. I miss you. I'm excited to see you. I love you. And I said, I love you more. And then he said, I love you most. And that moment haunts me. Because I wish I could have talked to him. I wish I would have called him. But after the yoga class, I had noticed that there was like a missing call from Reace. And so I called him back. And he's like, the first thing he said when he picked up the phone was, oh, it's so good to hear your voice. I was like, okay. It's good to hear your voice too, but like, why are you being weird? You know, like Court and the kids are in the car. And he's like, we're just in Meadow, and we just stopped in Fillmore. Now we're in Meadow, and we'll be home in a couple hours. Can't wait to see you. Love you. You know, bye. But even in just that moment, I hung up the phone, and I was like, that something's weird.
Kortni texted me when they left Fillmore and said, getting gas, leaving Fillmore, see you soon. Type of thing.
Yeah. So that was in Meadow.
Where's Meadow at? Is that
right after Fillmore.
Like if you're going to St. George.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So the accident must have happened moments.
Right, because I'm just trying to think now where the exit's at. But yeah, keep going.
Yeah. So anyway, so I'm at home, I'm making spaghetti, I'm cleaning, I'm doing whatever, and I have that feeling, so I start calling Reace, and it goes right to voicemail. I call Court, and I call Ryder, all voicemail, over and over and over, to this degree where it was like almost something took over me, and I just kept trying, like, it's going to work this time. Like, my mind, my spirit had already left, and I was just trying. Just
denial and shock setting in already.
Yes. And then I started trying to call you. And also, you weren't answering because probably you were on that bike ride.
I was on my motorcycle, yeah.
And then you finally did answer. And I said, something's going on. I can't get a hold of any of them. And I'm feeling really worried. It's going to voicemail. And you're like, it's okay, Keish. Like, I just talked to her. She's in Fillmore. I was like, me too. He was in Fillmore, and I'm panicked. And you're like, okay, let me call. I'll call you back. I'm on my bike ride, but I'll call you back. And then this is when I walked out to Faith. I don't know if you remember this.
Yeah. You came out, I was painting my nails, and you came out and you were just like, you had this like weird look on your face, and you were trying to call, I don't remember, one of the three.
Over and over.
And it went to voicemail, and you're like, I feel like they got in a car accident. And I was like, what? And then at some point you were like, Mason, we need to go get Mason. He just got off the phone with the doctor. And I was like, okay.
No. You're skipping ahead just a little bit because I came out to you and I said, this is where trauma is funky. But I said, like, something's not okay. And I dropped to my knees because grief does that. Like, you lose sense of your body and your muscles. And you're like, it's okay. Mom, they're okay. Like, they're okay. They're going to be here soon. And so everyone kept saying, it's okay. They're going to be here soon. But in my whole soul, I was like, oh, it's not okay. And the weather's weird and I feel weird and I've had these weird thoughts and feelings the whole time they've been gone and it's not okay. And then that's when Mason called me.
Oh.
And I took it in the other room.
Yeah, because I got the phone with you and I call Court straight to voicemail, call Reace straight to voicemail. I didn't call Ryder because I didn't think he was with him. Mm-hmm. And then I get the phone call. Like literally I tried calling one of them, no answer. And maybe like, felt like right after that, the doctor calls me. And he's like, so I literally just hung up with you. And then I'm like, I get this phone call. I'm Dr. So-and-so from Fillmore. So then I'm like, oh, so my alarms are going off because we just ended our conversation. So I put it on speaker and I text you, there's been a car accident. Come get me because I just have my motorcycle. Mm-hmm. So I can't take all of us, because I'm thinking they're in an accident, but they're alive. They just can't answer the phone. That was my thought anyway. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, we got to, all of us, get to Fillmore. So anyway, I was trying to give you the heads up so you could start, as I'm collecting these details of what hospital or whatever, you're on your way. But I didn't tell you what happened or anything. Mm-mm. And then, so I text you that. He tells me, car accident, everyone's dead except one person. I have confusion. Like, is it one person in our car? Is it one person in general of all the car? Like, I'm just freaking out. And then he ends the phone call by asking me, he's like, I need to get a hold of Keshia. I got to tell Keshia. I'm like, well, Keisha's actually on her way over to pick me up. I can tell her. But there's so much confusion in this phone call. I remember asking the guy, I'm like, I'm not telling my sister that unless we know for certain everyone else is dead. He's like, yeah, they're all dead. I'm like, okay, I'll tell her. And then I realized, like, you don't know what apartment number I'm in. You just know the complex. Or maybe you did, but for some reason...
I had stayed at your house, like, a week before. I don't know if you remember. Because they were somewhere. And I'd stayed at your house for like, a couple days. I don't remember what for.
See,
and I remember the general area, but I did not remember like where, like what apartment, which turn. And that's when she starts freaking out. She's like, we gotta go. And I was like, are we just leaving Lobby and Ren? She's like, yeah, we gotta go.
Ren wasn't there, right?
No, he was up in his room.
Ren? I was in my room.
And yeah, like, all right.
He was playing video games.
I didn't get told anything.
No, like we didn't tell. Like I was like, we're just gonna leave him.
Because I remember Ran texted me later. He's like, you should come over. And then I text Ran. I'm like, I gotta go up north because Blue might be alive. Anyway, that was a little later, I think.
Yeah, that was later. That was later in the day. Because then we were driving, and my mom's trying to call you over and over, and she's like, "Okay, you try Mason. I'm gonna call my mom." So she calls my grandma, her mom, and I can't even remember what that conversation was. Like my mom starts freaking out, and it's
so you called who?
I tried calling you,
and I didn't.
And you didn't answer, and it kept going to voicemail. And then she called both grandmas. Because you called Grandma Baby Deer, and then
Did you tell my mom?
I did.
I told
Grandma Baby Deer. Yeah.
I told your mom.
Casey, yeah.
So you told Keshia's mom.
Mm-hmm. I told like a lot of people.
Who told
That's later in the mom? That's later.
You told Casey.
Mm-hmm.
Because then Grandma Baby Deer called you, and you're like, I'm freaking out, and then Grandma Casey called you, didn't she?
What I remember is I go tell Faith, like, I need to go pick up Mason, but I don't know where Mason lives.
And I had that thought too, because like they don't know where I'm at, so I got to get to the main road.
Yeah.
And I remember like I'd make it 30, 40 feet and just fall down, cry, and then I get back up. And then I made it to that main road where you guys found me, and I just collapsed. I'm like, I'm just going to lay here till I see the car.
But there's an important part here because Faith's like, okay, let's go. Like, I'll help you get there, which Faith is not good at directions, even worse than me.
No, I'm bad at directions.
Yeah, when it's
So-
But I knew the
normal,
general
you're
area.
bad at
I was like, it's by Dixie High School. That's all I knew.
And I didn't know where Dixie High School was.
I didn't think anything was wrong. I was like, you know what? Like, I didn't even believe they were in a car accident at this point.
Yeah.
Like,
She just kept saying, like, they're fine.
they're
Mom.
fine. I was
why
like,
are
I don't
you
know what's
freaking
going
out?
on. And then you accidentally left me a voicemail and you were sobbing, like scream sobbing. And that's when I started to freak out. And I was just like, because you were still on the phone with
my
grandma. And like, I was just like trying to listen to like, I couldn't tell what was happening. And then you were just crying. And then that's when I started internally freaking out.
So you got that voicemail before you picked me up.
It was when we were driving
I
down.
don't even
Down that
remember
hill. I remember that
calling
very.
you.
I don't think
I
you
wonder how
meant
many
to.
people I called.
I think you accidentally picked up the phone, left that voicemail, and then it like hung up. It's like a very short voicemail. And then that's when I started internally freaking out. And I was like, whoa, like this isn't good. And then my mom starts freaking out. She starts like crying and like the car starts swerving. And I was like, Mom, you have to make it to Mason. And then that's when your neighbor called me back. The one, whoever picked you up off the main road called me.
Jake?
No,
me.
the girl.
She called me.
I
No,
don't
that
rem-
lady.
I don't
That
Somebody.
remember
one lady,
that.
yeah.
There
Called
was
one
a
of us, I
lady.
can't remember. And was like, this is where he's at.
Wait, where'd this lady come from? She's just
She's somebody in your complex.
and just heard me screaming.
And she saw you and she said, hey, I think I found your brother. He's in the road. He's crying. Can I help you get here to him?
Huh.
And so she helped guide me to where you guys were, which was right by Dixie High
Because
School.
I do remember. Oh man, maybe I gave him the phone.
You gave her the
Yeah,
phone.
you gave
I
her
was
the
talking
phone.
to her.
Wow.
She called me.
Yeah, because I remember there's maybe 3 or 4 people standing over me. I'm like slapping the pavement, and they asked me like, "What's going on?" And I think I told them.
Like,
I think I said like my family just died in a car accident, and then I think I remember one of them saying like, "Let's just keep him out of the road so he doesn't run out on the road." And then once I saw your car, I ran out into the road.
yeah, we just parked right in the middle.
Wow, yeah, I probably just handed him my phone, maybe,
And she called me. I think maybe you called me and then you handed
and
it to
then like
her.
I was done.
And she guided us to you.
Because then I remember I see your car, so I pop up and I get in the back, and then Keshia, am I wrong? But I think the first words spoken were by you, and you said, "I'm so sorry, Mace." Or am I making that up?
I don't remember that.
I remember that.
And because I remember being confused, like, do they know? Like I was supposed to tell them.
I didn't know anything, but like my soul, my
Well, and I'm a
spirit.
mess too, so like it's apparent that something's not good. Anyway, I just remember that, like, I'm so sorry, Mace, and I'm like, do I need to tell you? I don't want to say it. So anyway, I think I said it. They're all dead except maybe Blue.
This is what you said.
You said, did you hear about Reace?
Oh wow, I don't remember this.
I don't remember that.
I remember that very vividly.
Saying what?
Did you hear about Reace? And both of us went no. And you said, they're dead, Keshia. They're all
They're all
dead.
fucking
They're
dead.
all fucking dead. That's what you
I
said.
don't remember. I thought the first words out of my mouth were "they're all dead except maybe Blue."
No. It was, they're all dead. They're all fucking dead. And then Faith screamed and ran.
I remember that.
And I sat there and slumped
I remember that.
and said, my sweet Ryder. And then you said, Ryder was in the car? And I was like, yeah.
And then that was like
And then
an
just
like-
chaos kind of felt.
And then we
followed
were
that.
in the middle of the road. I just parked in the middle of the road.
I don't remember getting out of the car, but we did. I remember being in that parking lot because then the sheriff called me from the scene of the accident, I think, and he basically just told me the same thing the doctor did. And it was like, he told me, he's like, you're going to have to, because I had to go to the hospital because they were life flighting the survivor who we were hoping was Blue. And I remember him saying, when you get to the car accident, call this number. And he gave me a number. And he's like, when you call that number, tell them who you are, and they will escort you through and give you a ride. Because I think they closed the freeway, maybe. But like, we'll give you an escort ride through. Anyway, so I don't remember getting out of the car.
I don't remember getting out of the car either, but we were, if you know, Dixie High School, and like in the middle of the road.
Faith just took out running right into that parking lot, right?
Into the parking lot of Dixie.
Yeah, of Dixie.
And we're still in that kind of like that busy road or whatever. And me and you were just on the ground laying there crying.
I remember that.
And it was sort of rainy, so I just remember being wet. And then they said, like, you guys need to move out of the road. The strangers, the sweet strangers who
And
were
then
with
someone
us.
moved your. I think it might have been
And then some stranger moved my
moved
car
your
into the
car.
parking lot. And then I was just on the
And then
sidewalk.
you were on the sidewalk and then on the fence. And then that's
Hysterical.
when people, yeah. And then I was like,
I was hysterical.
I was.
yeah. And I don't remember what you were doing. I think you were calling Jake to try and come pick you up.
I remember my parents called me, or I had a conversation with my dad.
Yeah.
And I just remember my dad saying, he's like, sorry, I'm just trying to take it all in still. So I remember that. And then who told Ran, or how did you
Me.
find out, Ran?
Faith.
Yeah. Well, because my first thought was Ran. Like, he doesn't know what's going on. And so Grandma Casey had called me because my mom stopped answering everyone. So everyone's confused because my mom called them freaking out and then, like, kind of it just went silent. So she was like, and then I think you told her, and then she called me because you stopped answering. She's like, are you sure? And, like, at this point, I was such in denial. I didn't want to tell anyone that yes, because I was like, there's no way. Like, there's no way that this is happening right now, is like my first thought. Like, you see this in the movies, you see this on the news, it doesn't happen to you. And then it did. And I just remember being like, I think so. And then Grandma just was like, okay. And then she's like, well, I'm going to go, whatever. And then that's when I called Ran. I don't even remember what I said. I think what I said, I was like hysterical. And I was just like, do you remember what I said?
And I just remember you calling me. You're like, something bad happened. I'm like, chill, because you're crying. I'm like, chill. What are you saying? And you're just like, something really bad. I was like, what? And then you just hung up. And then I was calling everyone. Nobody answered me. I was like, oh, all right.
And yeah, that's right, because that's when Grandma Casey called me. So I was like, something really bad happened, whatever. And then I do remember hanging up on you, because then Grandma Baby Deer called me. And then she was like, what happened? And I was like, they're all dead, Grandma. And then she starts crying. She's like, I'm so sorry, we're on our way right now. So then I hung up the phone with her. And then at some point, you called me and I answered.
Yeah.
And then
So I called my buddy
Diesel.
And then someone got me, and then I just chilled at their house. Because I didn't even know what was happening.
At that point, either still? I thought I told you, and then you threw your PC out the window.
No, I punched my window, through my window.
That's what it was. I remember, because I remember calling you, and I was just like, Dad and Ryder are dead. And you were like, what? And I like kind of explained it more. And he's like, are you serious? And I was like, yeah. And then I just remember being like, no. And then you hung up the phone. And I tried calling you back, and you didn't answer. And that's when I think you called Diesel.
Yeah.
And then to come pick you up.
And then did you text me? Am I making that up?
I don't remember.
I swear I got a text from you.
I think I said, like, where you at? Or something like that.
Something like that. And I remember texting, like, I'm going up. Because you're one of the few people my phone was going crazy. And you were one of the people I actually remember responding to. But I guess that could be wrong. Man, I didn't know you were alone.
I didn't know either.
In those moments, dude. I'm so sorry, man. I didn't know any of that.
I thought you were at Diesel's.
No, I was at home.
No, he was at home. That was like my first thought. Well, because I remember like briefly you were just like, where are you going? I was like, I gotta call Ran. And then
I don't remember. You ran.
Yeah.
And then I was on the sidewalk dead.
But at some point.
I didn't I'm sorry. When I told you, I didn't mention Blue surviving.
You came over.
You came over after.
So I didn't tell you in the car, though.
No.
Man, I got that way wrong. That part way wrong.
No, I think you and I tried to decide who it might be.
Or maybe I told you in the car when
Faith was already gone. Faith had already.
So I didn't know until you came over and gave me a hug. I was like, I gotta go.
Mm-hmm.
Blue is alive. And that's when I found out that Blue was still alive.
And we didn't know it was Blue. Me and you thought maybe it could be Blue. Maybe it could be Riggs.
It's so weird because, like, these little details, like, it's weird because there's so much moments of emotion within them. So it's actually, like, really kind of difficult, but what's the right word? Healthy to talk about? I don't know, but, like, learning a lot about what happened in this moment.
Yeah.
And anyway, sorry.
I like hearing what happened in everybody else's world.
Because I didn't know that's a big deal for Ran.
That's a big deal for me, too.
When you're talking about trauma and he had experienced that, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's really shitty, Ran. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And then I had to leave you and Faith in that parking lot, and that hurt too. because that was the first time I kind of saw you when I was about to leave. I like saw you guys like they're not doing good, but I have to go, right? Like I have to go.
I think Faith had already left.
No,
And
I was still there because he came over and gave me a hug.
that was my next question. Like, did I say anything to you guys? I don't even
I don't know what you said to my mom, but I remember I was on the phone with somebody because no one was answering but me. And that was like, in my mind, I was like, I have to be the one to do this. Like, I have to step up. I don't know why that was my first thought, but like, I was just like, I have to step up right now. Like, I have to be the one to break this news to people or else no one's going to know. And it's just going to have to be told by someone who doesn't matter and whatever. So I was on the phone just like pacing back and forth in that parking lot for what seemed like years. And then you came up to me. I was on the phone. I don't even remember what you said. You just said, you gave me a hug and you're like, I have to go. Like, someone's alive. I have to go. And then gave me a hug and then you left. I think you had already gone to my mom at that point.
And then I either said something, because you were crowded by people. Or maybe crowd's the wrong word, but you had some people around you. And I either wanted to tell you something or maybe I told one of them to tell you. Or maybe I didn't say anything.
You came over to me.
Did I?
Mm-hmm.
You remember what I said?
I do. Yeah. You just looked at me and you said, Keshia, I'm so sorry. And you were crying. And you're like, I have to leave you. And I don't want to leave.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know what to do. They think Blue might be alive and I need to go to him. My friend's going to drive me. I'm so sorry. I have to leave you right now.
Yeah.
But Sage is coming. Like,
Those were the thoughts I was having. I don't remember if I ever... Yeah, and Sage is coming. So someone told me, I don't know who, but Sage was driving down to St. George to be with you guys. Trent and Marcia, Kortni's parents, and my mom and dad were going to the hospital.
And Carly, maybe, yeah.
And Carly for Blue. Because I'm like, yeah, so they were there for Blue when Blue landed. Rand went to his friend's house. That's kind of where we all were. Where'd you guys go after the parking lot? You just went back home?
I was calling my friend Bryson because he lived like right by Dixie High School and he was the only person I could think that could take me to Rand. Because like my mom was like crowded by people and I was like overwhelmed and like for some reason like my only thought was like someone has to get to Rand. And so I call him and he's just like, well, I'm with a bunch of friends right now. Like, what's going on? And Bryson had also like lost his sister a few years back. So like he was also the first one I thought of. Like, I was like, well, he knows what's going on. He knows how serious this is. But he was taking forever to get to me. Then he finally got to me. And then that's when Diesel's mom, I want to say, called me. Because in the midst of this, all of my friends are calling me. All my family's calling me. I have to break the news to everyone. And then I'm in the car. And then Diesel's mom or dad is like, is this Faith? Like, Rand told us to call you. Like, this is where he's going to Diesel's. And I, like, know where Diesel's is from memory from picking Rand up. So I tell Bryson where to go. And, like, in the car, I'm just, like, in shambles. Because, like, I think it hit me right then and there. I was like, this is not happening. And I remember getting to Diesel's and you weren't there yet. Who picked you up?
Me.
No.
It was Archie's dad.
Archie's dad.
Oh, I picked him up from Diesel, yeah.
Yeah. So, like, Archie's dad picked Rand up, took him to Diesel's. And then I remember that's when, like, all these people all of a sudden showed up. Like, I don't remember whose mom or whose dad it was, but, like, some family got there before Rand. And then, like, the mom was hugging me. And then the sister was hugging me. And I was just like, I don't know who these people are. And then that's when Rand showed up at Diesel's house with Archie's dad, which I think was your coach at the time.
No.
Oh.
It was just Archie's dad.
Oh. But anyways, then Rand came up and hugged me and was like, we're going to get through this. And then I'm trying to think about having oh yeah, he's like, we're going to get through this. And then and then he like hugged the coach or something. And then he was
in my head, I was just like, wake up.
Me too.
That was
You were just in
It's
shock.
really
for like a
blurry.
year.
yeah.
That's how it was the first year, too. Like, no. Like, it was very real, like, how sad you were. But then it was like, nah, not real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we just waited inside Diesel's for, again, what felt like forever. And then that's when, I think Tiffany called me just to, like, tell me a story. And I was like, oh, you obviously haven't heard. So then I had to tell Tiffany. And then that's when you showed up. I have this vivid...
I was, you guys said there was like a lot of people around me. I don't remember that. I remember some
Maybe
strangers.
a lot of people was a porch. There was maybe 2 or 3.
Yeah, two.
Yeah, I was like 2 or
those
3.
strangers.
Sorry, yeah.
And you guys left. Faith left. You left. And I was there with these strangers. And I couldn't function. I couldn't even like function to use my phone. And they were like trying to talk to me. And they're like, do you have a friend that you can call? And
These are like the sweetest people.
the sweetest humans ever.
We should have them on one day.
You really should. I would love to get their perspective too.
Yeah,
but
you were screaming bloody murder, and
I don't even remember. I don't remember. I remember at one point, like boogers running down my face into my mouth and not caring. I couldn't really function. But I called Sinale and Dahlia, and there's some friends and yoga instructors who I teach with, and they came right away. Her and their sister too. So 3 of my homies here. So it was us. And I remember them being like, what do we do next? And I'm like, I kind of like snap back into reality for a second. I would like do this like cry, smacking the floor, like leave me alone. I just want to die right here. And then back to like, oh my God, where are my kids?
that was totally me.
Yeah. And then doing it again. Cry, scream, I don't want to live.
And then I call it
holy
like the
shit, where are my
survivor
kids?
guy would slide in. He's like, you need to make some phone calls. You need to get up north.
Mm-hmm.
And then he'd slip out. And that's what I did for the whole 4 hours to the hospital. Was just, I'd be crying and I'd be silent and then I'd be mad and then I'd be in shock. Just kind of all of it.
Going through all of them over and
And I
over.
remember I get there and Carly's outside the hospital. I just fall in her arms and cry so bad. She leads me up to the room. Blue's in a neck brace. But nothing's wrong with his neck. It's just like precautionary. And then I think in the hospital room was my mom and dad, Kortni's sister Jordan, my buddy David, Dre, and my buddy Andre, and maybe Sam Josie. And I remember after I hugged Blue, I remember just putting my head down into my hands and just like shaking no. Like no, like there's no way. And just being in shock again. And then I don't know what the first night was for you. I don't know. I mean, we can probably wrap up the first night. I just wanted to talk about it before we talk about how we've been doing since. But I spent the night with Blue, just holding him, and then my parents were in there, and like the sounds they were making, I just remember like very just reality trying to make its way in, and just like so much shock and disbelief. Ran, how much, like, you mentioned the first year, because that was me too, just so much shock. So let's say, like, first year was 100% shock. Like, probably not true, but let's just say it is. Coming up on year 3, Ran, like, how much percentage of shock would you say you're still in?
I, like, accepted it. Like, I'm not in shock anymore.
So you're, like, you've worked hard on the acceptance thing.
Yeah.
So you're, what did I even ask you? So you're 100% accepted it now. Like, you don't get into shock?
No.
I'm still in some shock sometimes, I think. But not nearly as bad. But there's still some moments where I'm just like, there's no way. And then we went home. We spent one night, and then I went to my parents, and then we all cried. Do you remember that? We all cried and broke down in that
front
room with my parents. I remember that. Everyone was in that room, it seemed like.
It was like Shannon, Carly, my mom, whatever. And I just remember like trying to find my mom and like you guys. And I remember like Travis was like guarding the door. So like nobody that wasn't family couldn't come in. And he like stopped me while I tried to go in. And I almost raged at him. And then he looked at me, he's like, oh, sorry. And I was just like, Travis.
I did not know that.
Yeah. It was a very specific memory.
I think we did some blessings in that room.
It was that we did. My blessing was downstairs.
Oh, I don't remember that.
I think you blessed me. I don't remember who else you blessed, but Grandpa blessed me downstairs in the living room on a chair. And I think the first night, though, like, you didn't want to be at home. So
if we rewind, I drove my stick shift Kia.
Yeah, wait, hold on. I forgot. When did you guys come up north?
So my friends then left, right? So they went home. They went to the studio, and I was like, I'm going to go get my kids. They're like, oh, you can't drive. Like, I guess I looked like I probably shouldn't drive, but I did. Anyways, a stick shift to Diesel's house. to get Ran. Because they told me Faith and Ran were there. And then I picked Ran up. I think his whole fucking football team was there. And it's the only time maybe I've seen Ran cry was that at that moment, some older gentleman, I think Archie's dad, gave you a hug or something and said something like, your dad's proud of you. He said, I don't fucking have a dad. And that broke me. That was like the moment that felt like, oh, this is real. Like this is, do you remember that moment?
Yeah, such like a good thing to say though, almost. Like, said with anger probably, but yeah, like facing reality.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all had moments like that.
And then we drove back to...
And so then you drove up north.
And then we went to Siva. We hung out at Siva, the yoga studio where I teach at. Home first.
And then you were
to
like, I
Siva.
can't be here.
Yeah, I
So
couldn't
then
be
we
there.
drove to Siva.
And then eventually Rand didn't want to be at Siva anymore, which I don't blame you. Then we went...
I didn't want to go.
Yeah.
What did you want to do? Just be alone?
I wanted to go to the gym.
You want to just lift weights really hard or what?
I just remember my mom forcing me to go. I was so mad.
Forcing you to go to where? Oh, to the yoga
studio.
To the yoga
Wherever she went, I had to go. And I was like, I was exploding. I was like, I cannot be with... Because she's freaking out. I'm like, this does me no good.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just remember that.
Then
I'm
we
sorry
went,
for that.
Then we went home.
I don't even remember that.
I don't know. That whole time is a blur, to be honest. From like home to Siva back to home is very much a blur. And then that's when you were like, we have to go home because Sage is at the house. Then Sage and Lindsay were there. Baby dear grandma and grandpa were there. And then I just remember we sat in that living room for, again, what felt like years. And we just like all were telling stories, which felt like years. And then eventually Rand went up to his room. And then you went to your room. And then like we were all still sitting there or whatever. It didn't feel real. Like no one was like, everyone just looked so out of body. And then
I don't even really remember it. I just remember going from the living room, crawling on my knees to the toilet and throwing up or dry heaving and doing that over and over and over.
I remember Blue just wanted to take a bath like every 30 minutes. Like, let's take a bath.
I remember that too.
And then my last question is the funeral. You guys remember that at all?
No. It was so,
bits and
blurry
pieces.
I remember bits and pieces. Some parts I remember really well, actually, and then other parts I don't even know.
Yeah.
The part I remember is we finished it. We finished the whole funeral thing. I think we just buried him, actually. I'm riding with Sage, so it's me, Sage, Lindsay, their kids, and I know Rand was with us. And we go to a gas station after. That Maverick, right across from the cemetery, actually. And we're just in shock or whatever. We're getting snacks. And I just remember, like, in line, like, looking at Rand and just being like, dude, like, I don't, like, what, like, where do we go? I remember being so lost, like, where do I live now? Who do I live with? Where do I go? What do I do? I don't know if you remember that, Rand, but I remember just being at that gas station, like...
Do you remember
just felt very defeated.
Do you remember the morning of the funeral at all?
Yeah. I didn't want to go.
Yeah.
I remember that.
I didn't know if you remembered that or not.
I remember that.
How close were you to not going?
I didn't have a choice.
But so close. You're just, like, Steve had to come crack the whip.
So mad or like what? Like
just didn't want.
Denial shock. Couldn't accept it.
Yeah.
All of it.
Yeah, I don't know.
When did you just start like accepting it? You think around the year mark?
Like I just remember just lifting weights.
That's how you coped for a while.
Yeah.
Well, it shows.
Well, obvious. Look
with
at
the
that
body
guy.
you got
Look at those freaking quads, dude.
That's the secret. Is just trauma get you jacked.
I just remember the week of the funeral was a blur just because, like, the first day where it was at grandma's, we stayed there for a while. Like, not a while, like, I don't remember how long. And I just remember, like, Blue's birthday party and the Spider-Man.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I forgot.
Remember that Spider-Man guy?
Yeah.
Packing heat in that spandex?
Yeah.
That was weird.
It was so weird.
Bless him if he's listening to this.
Yeah. Good for you.
Well, like, good for him, right? I hope the little 6-year-old saw it.
I remember just like, oh my gosh, Blue's birthday, yeah.
Yeah, I just remember, like...
He has a cast on, just driving around his Batmobile, and like, no one dares say one thing to this kid.
Yeah.
Like, you can do whatever
you can do whatever you want. I just remember that, and then I remember, like, all my friends from St. George came up that week. And, like, my friends Josie and Faith came up. And they were with me, like, the entire time. And then, like, everyone happened. And I remember, like, the viewing felt so long for some reason. Just because, like, there was a line of people at the door for what felt like years. Like, just hours and hours and hours of people coming through. And I, like, did not want to stand at the front where all the coffins were. Because I was like, that's, like, a lot for me. Like, I just can't do that. So I was just, like, going around in the line, finding people I knew, giving them hugs. Like, people probably thought I was crazy because, like, I refused to cry at the funeral or at the viewing. I refused. I was like, I have to act like everything is fine and that everything is just standy. And I just remember, like, people thought I was, like, crazy because I just looked like the happiest person in the world.
I do remember the viewing when I saw the 4 caskets. It was shot. It was just, it didn't make sense to my brain. I remember that moment. Like, no way. Like, this, that's where they're at. I remember that.
The funerals was good, though, I think.
I don't remember what you said. I don't remember what I said. So, like, please don't be offended. But, like,
I don't remember what I said.
I don't remember what you said, but I remember, like, wow, like, Faith is doing so good.
Really?
Like,
I
for a
hate.
For a 16-year-old girl, like, I'm like,
I
dang,
forget that
man.
I was that
Like,
young.
I don't know what he said, though. And then Keshia talked, I talked. I remember the music was good.
Yeah, I sang. And then...
I think
And then
Trent talked. Oh, Jordan talked.
Shannon
A lot of
and-
Kortni's. Oh, yeah, Shannon talked.
Shannon and
it's all,
Sawyer
like,
talked.
kind of slowly coming back a little.
Sam talked. Yeah, and then I remember... Because Tim, my dad's boxing coach, also talked.
Oh, yeah.
And
Tim
I
talked.
forgot
Yeah.
Tim spoke.
Tim
Sorry,
spoke.
Tim.
Sorry, Tim.
We were talking about it the last time I
It
went
was
boxing,
good.
which was like 2 weeks ago. We were talking about it. He was talking about his. He's like, where can I find that? Because I want to rewatch it. And like, if you search up whatever Race Sawyer, like comes up and you can watch it. It's on that page. But I just remember like I was like, your talk was great. Like it made people laugh and whatever. And he's like, I think about Mason's talk. He's like at least once a week. He's like, it was just the perfect amount of like heavy and funny and like lighthearted, but like said what he needed to say. It was like the perfect ending to that whole thing.
I do remember, this just popped in my brain, but we were picking out caskets and we were trying to plan this funeral, how long it was going to be and where it was going to be at. And I remember telling the guy, like, I'm going to talk for at least 45 minutes. I remember saying something like that. Like, I'm talking for at least 45 minutes, so we need to bump this funeral at least another hour. I just remember that moment. I met this guy named Colin Campbell. Throughout the 1090 podcast, he lost 2 daughters to a drunk driver. He was driving. Him and his wife survived. His 2 teenagers were killed. And he wrote this book called Finding the Words. And one of my favorite parts of this book is he talks about how this idea that anyone can just handle grief however they want is actually not good. Like, not true. Like, there's lots of things you can do that aren't good. But, like, we have this idea that you can kind of just do whatever you want. And I totally agree about that with Colin. However, though, I also do think that, yeah, everyone does handle their grief journey differently. Like, it's not always going to be the same. And I think us 4 may have 4 different ways to handle the grief. And, Ryan, do we need to take a break real quick?
Yeah. I mean, can you
Yeah.
remember what yours?
Yeah, this actually be a good segue. And I think we have 4 people here who are handling it differently. And usually on the 1090 podcast, after we talk about the horrible event, we try to shift into how you've been handling it. What have you learned from it? I think we've all made mistakes. I think we've all done a lot of good things. I just kind of want to talk about how you would explain your grief journey real quick. And what you've been doing to cope and how, like, what have you been doing to get through this misery? We can stop right there. So we don't have to take turns or whatever, but yeah, I want to talk to you guys about
Everybody pull their mic.
how you've been handling this. I'll start. I've been handling this not too good.
What you talking about?
What's good?
Good question. Yeah, I don't know. What is good?
Like making a lot of money? Or like
Well,
waking up happy? Or
definitely not doing good if that's what it's about.
I like that question. What's good? Like making a lot of money or waking up
Yeah, like
happy?
when someone says, you doing good?
like I know
Like, what are
people-
we talking about?
Like I know so many people that make a lot of money, and then I go to their house and their family's wrecked. It's like it's just wrecked. Like when I had my family, it was humbler. I was like, money doesn't do anything. I don't think.
Amen.
That's true.
Yeah. So what are we trying to say though? So what's good?
Yeah, what's good?
I like that question, Rand. And to be honest with you, well, I think this is the problem I have with answering it, is I don't really know what we're saying. I don't know. But okay, I like that question because that's why I love the 1090 podcast, is I feel like I'm figuring out what that is based on how everyone's handling grief. And I think, okay, an attempt to try to answer Rand's question, what's good? I think talking about it, I'm a believer in it now. I used to be skeptical, like you're in or you're out, like you do you, whatever. But like, I think talking about it.
So why haven't we had this conversation before? Do you feel like...
It's scary to talk about?
Yeah, I think so too.
You don't know.
Why haven't we...
You don't know where it's going to go.
Yeah. Why haven't we had this conversation with your family?
And it's very like when you're talking about this much trauma, which means this much shame and guilt and sadness, like tempers fly quick, feelings are hurt quick.
Everyone's experience is different.
Yeah. Everyone walks on eggshells, and we all have our own perspective and feelings, and if you don't feel heard, you just go crazy with anger. At least I do. Like, at least can you just hear how bad it is, type of thing. So I'm going to say, but I've been handling it so bad in other ways. Maybe we start there. What are some bad ways we've been handling this? Like for me, like Rand said earlier, shock just ruled me for so long, and denial. And then maybe therapy and talking about it kind of helped reality settle in.
I feel kind of silly even like having this conversation right now because I feel like I'm still in shock. I feel like there's parts of me that won't like allow myself to feel like I won't allow myself to misread her for too long because it hurts too much.
Yeah.
Or think about this thing or whatever. So it feels like I can't give advice here. First of all, I don't know what's good or bad. I don't even know if I believe in good or bad.
I like that a lot because I used to be such a confident person, and now like I don't know. I don't know what the point of life is or what. Don't ask me.
I think you've gotten way more confident. You
Really?
go to schools every week or whatever. You go talk to a whole entire school. You wouldn't do that if they were here.
No, that's true. I never would.
I agree with
I
Rand.
think, like, I think all of it's been like a benefit besides losing them.
Yeah, I agree.
All of it's been a benefit except losing.
Because I've learned way more with them gone.
Yeah, it's kind of like you wish you could take this and go back with them.
Yeah.
It's just not how it works at all. What are some things you like that you gain from it? Would you say, like a new perspective or thoughts on life or what?
Just how I treat people. I remember when like it first happened, I was filled with so much regret for how I treated Ryder.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's just brothers, though. Honestly, like I think that's how a lot of brothers communicate love is.
Well, he wasn't like Sawyer's. Like he wasn't like that. He was more
Sensitive.
yeah, and I knew that.
I think regret is something that I've had a lot too. Mostly with your dad, honestly, with Reace. Sorry, Red, you just kind of cracked me open right there.
I was thinking about this recently because I think there's always going to be some sort of regret because we don't live perfect, right? Nobody does. But I think, Ran, the way that you show love is a lot like the way your daddy showed love. And if you're not teasing someone, you probably don't care about them very much, you know? And so I remember how much you tormented Ryder. But I told this story when we talked recently on Ryder's birthday when Ryder got stung by the jellyfish. You were the first to be there. You love him. And he knew. But the way that Sawyers show love is we tease. Relentlessly, I feel like. You know?
Yeah.
So you still have a lot of that regret? Do you still have that pain and that regret like today?
Yeah. Because I'll be like messing with kids. I'm like, did I take that too far? All the time. Because like if I'm doing that to you or Sage, like we know we're joking.
Yeah.
But if I do that to like Ryder or like someone like him, they're like, that hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
That's just how it is. But like it sucks because like I can recognize it now because of how he passed.
Yeah, it'll do that to you.
Yeah.
I think just trying to relate it to me. I don't know if there's anything I can say to you that'll make that pain or regret go away. I will tell you 100% guaranteed, right? And Ryder knew you loved him. That's like for sure. But I think one thing I've learned about losing all of them, Rand, is there's like parts of me, I just have parts of me that hate myself and parts of me that just full of so much shame and guilt. And I don't, I think what I'm learning is letting those parts be heard is a big deal. And so I think saying that is a huge step in the right direction for you and the demons you're facing and the shame and guilt you have. And then the other thing I'll talk about shame and guilt is it is connected. It's because you love them so much. It's because you have so much love that love is now turned into anger, regret, shame, and guilt because it's got nowhere else to go. So I hope you realize how bad you're hurting and how much pain you have, and now that desire to fix your behavior or at least think about it differently in your head when you're saying something to a kid, I think that's all of a reflection of how much you love them. And I don't know what to do about your shame and guilt, to be honest with you, because I still battle that daily too. Mm-hmm. So I don't really know how to fix your problems, but 100% right. You love Ryder, and Ryder knew that. Ryder loved you, and I do think it's just brothers being brothers. But when they die, everything gets very real, and you play everything back, and everything hits different.
Yeah.
But thanks for, dude. Sometimes I feel crazy because Rand, this is what I do. I hate myself. I don't blah 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 blah. And people just try to make it okay, and it pisses me off. Like let's not make this Make-A-Wish Foundation. Like, you don't need to don't do that. Just tell me yeah, that sucks, and give me a hug. That's all I got for you, Rand. I'm sorry. I wish I was better at this. But I think just saying that means a lot, though.
I do too. And I think the way that you said, now you've taken that knowledge. Now you know, how far to take it or how to stand up for the person who needs a Ran in their life, you know? Yeah. Which I think is cool. Your Uncle Sage, Mason's older brother, told me after the accident, I have so much pain and regret for how much I tormented Reace and for how I just wasn't closer to him.
Yeah.
And I think that you've done a good job of like making sure that you're close with Faith. Like, I think there's those little gifts. What you just said, like, I think everything's a gift except for that they're gone. I think you're so right.
Yeah,
I think you're so spot on.
I like it when you said that. That was some deep shit right there, man.
It's powerful.
Yeah.
And I think true.
And I do think this is an example of why it's scary to talk. Like, not ready for what Rand said. I don't know what to tell him. And that's, again, like, I'm not sure how it's going to go every time.
But good, like you asked, like, how are we doing good? How are we doing bad? What do you think that you've done bad?
I think I'm perfect. You know, it's just how I am.
Oh, Rand, I wanted to tell you. Sorry, and good question, Keshia. I don't mean to derail it, but I need to say this, but else I'm going to forget. I'm going to forget it. Shit, it was going to be so good.
You said, what have we done good and bad? That sparked something.
It was something for Rand.
Yeah, I might come back to you. Think of peanut butter.
Okay, go for it, Keshia. Same question. Oh, handling it good. What'd you ask, Keshia?
I think,
How did Randy handle it bad is what he said. Or how does he think he...
I think the worst way I handle it is, like, I don't give anybody, like, 100% of me anymore.
Just scared to get hurt, or...
Yeah, just like that fear of losing them, you know?
Dude, yeah, that's why it's, like, hard dating again. Like, not to left turn this into Sammy, but, like, I have that fear all the time with her and Blue, like, they're just gonna die now. Rand, I gotta tell you before I forget, it's not your fault. That's what I was gonna say. Like, this weird thing with grief is like, sorry, welcome to the 1090 podcast. We're going back in time. No, but this is important. Is I sometimes I convince myself like it's my fault. Like, this is your bad, and I'm able to talk myself out of that. And shame and guilt are so powerful and so real. When you have an experience like that with your brother Ryder, like, a lot of people going through trauma can start to feel like it's their fault or they're responsible for the death. And I just wanted to clear. I don't know if you're thinking that or have ever thought that, but I just wanted to say
I remember, like, when I used to live here, you used to tell me that a lot.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Mm-hmm. I think I told you that a lot because that's how I felt. Like, what did I caused this with, like, what did I do? Like, why wasn't I in the car? I'm always with, like, anyway, I just wanted to tell you that it's not your fault.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
Okay,
Back to where we were.
I'll go
Rand was talking.
Yeah,
I cut him off.
No, he was. No.
He was.
No, thank you. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, Rand, what were you saying?
I forgot.
He said he doesn't give anyone 100%.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and then you were talking about Sammy.
And then I brought in Sammy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I have that. And you said that with your girlfriend in the room, dude. Like, you gotta be careful. Like,
You just said it about Sam.
yeah, she's not in the room though.
She's probably gonna be on recording.
No, this is a big deal though because it's so true. Like this, because you have so much fear. At least I did about it. Like, it was a sandstorm, so now like anything's on the table. Like, you just die any. Yeah. So like, why invest? It's just gonna lead to more pain and heartache.
Mm-hmm. I feel that in a big way.
So why bother?
Yeah.
I feel the same way, Rand.
Yeah.
I don't give anyone 100%.
I think that's my fault. Honestly.
That's what I said. Like, my fault?
That's my what?
That's your fault?
Like, I think that's like where that's like where my fault lies with me. Because I have, like, when we lived in Hawaii the month before, I just remember I was so wrapped up in my phone and my boyfriend and my friends back home. I was like, I don't even want to go. I was trying so hard to get my parents to not let me go. I wrote this whole speech and everything. Being like,
I remember, like, what kid, like, fights so hard not to go to Hawaii? Yeah, I remember this.
And I just was just like, this is, like, I don't want to go. It's just going to be boring. And I just remember, like, so many moments where I was just like on my phone doing something when I should have been like in the moment. And I was a hard kid. I was just like doing stupid things. I was sneaking out and I was drinking and smoking weed every single night, coming home hungover and I just like wasn't there. And I feel like I never got that, like, the full potential of my relationships with, especially my dad. I have a lot of regret with that, just because he just loved me unconditionally the whole time, and I just,
He loved you so
we were
much.
just, I just would butt heads with him all the time, both of them, all the time. But I feel
I
like
think he fell in love with you before he fell in love with Keshia, even maybe. Like,
Yeah.
he loved you.
For sure. How could he
Sure.
not?
But then it's like, there was just like all these like different things. And like even recently I was just like, I didn't realize because I asked my mom like the other week, I was like, why didn't dad ever adopt me? Because I like my whole life I was just like, I felt so just like I'm such like a bad kid and my parents hate me and like I don't, you know what I mean? And which very much wasn't true. And
Just teenage
angst.
brain.
Yeah, just teenage angst. And I just remember like being like, why didn't he ever adopt me? And my biological father, I guess, wouldn't allow him to. And I didn't know that until like a couple weeks ago. And that was just like kind of a relief off my shoulders too. Just because like I was living with that question for so long and I obviously can't ask him. But I don't know, I live with a lot of regret of that. And I try to do therapy for it, but I don't really think about it ever. I think I'm more in shock this year than I was in the first year, to be honest. I feel like it hits me harder now when I think about it because I've pushed it down so much all the time. I never really talk about it. It was better when I was going to therapy for a minute. But even then, like, I like have a really, really, really hard time thinking about it.
It's weird because not to rub this in your face, but I don't have a lot of regret. Sorry. No, like I have regret with your dad. Everything you guys say, like I wish I was more involved with his life, okay? And I had moments to be, and I just didn't take advantage of it. And that it's nothing like on your guys' level. My grief's more just sadness, and I think with my kids, it's so much anger still, and I think with Kortni, it's so much shock still, and with Race and Ryder, it's more of the regret like you guys are doing. But that's just weird. It's weird. I didn't know you guys had so much regret, to be honest with you. And
I think it's just because our dad was so good.
your dad was so good, dude.
The best.
Like, I mean, Steve Sawyer's close, but
You mute.
your dad was like, he was. You know what your dad was fun.
Yeah.
Your dad was the typical like dad doing dad things, but he was fun, man, and your dad cared about everyone. He had a big heart. And I know he gets a lot of talk about fighting. I like when I talk about him, it's when he's fighting, but that guy was a lover too. And I see so much of you guys in him. Why do you think it's because your dad was so good? That's why you have so much regret?
We didn't take advantage of it. We were too young to like care.
Yeah.
It's like we have iPhones. We got TikTok. You go be weird somewhere else, Dad.
Yeah, so you seriously though.
Yeah.
Like all those weird moments he did embarrassing you guys. Like you guys would love to have another one now.
Yeah, 100%.
Like him in that banana costume or pineapple, whatever it is.
Banana.
Yeah, banana. Any of the moments, really. Like, I just remember, like, the biggest thing that I'm, like, really grateful that he did was make us play blackjack every single night. Or
Yeah.
hearts. That was, like, one of the things that I was, like, so just, like, why can't we just have our phones back? Like, this is so dumb. None of us want to play. Like, someone ends up crying, and then dad ends up mad, or mom, like, it's just, but, like, looking back on it, like, that was a very, like, special thing that, like, we can now look back on, I think.
Yeah. Do you think does that make you angry? Or like maybe because I'm still confused and struggling with. They were such good people. Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. You struggle with that with your dad? Like, he was so cool. Like, why him? Do you have those thoughts?
Yeah.
I have those thoughts daily, I'd say. How do you handle that anger? You just lift weights?
It just doesn't get me anywhere, you know?
Yeah.
Just thinking about it. That's like one of the things I just push down.
You laugh. I just pushed down her. Yeah, I push that one down too, or I don't get it. And then like when other people talk about like, oh, like my wife almost died in a car accident, but grace of God, blah, blah, blah. I'm just like, okay.
Thanks for that.
It's a hard one.
That's great.
I used to tell Reace a lot, like, I can't wait for you to be like a dad to our teenagers. You're so good with teenagers.
Oh my God.
So I do feel pissed that he doesn't get to.
I used to tell Kortni all the time, like, I can't wait till they're teenagers and they come in, like, can I sleep over at so-and-so's house? Or they bring a date home. Or like, man, that's going to be so fun.
Mm-hmm. Now I feel pissed.
And
like
now,
doing it alone, I get pissed.
Yeah. Well, sometimes I forget how young I was. Like this, was a whole revelation to me like a week ago because my mom sent me a video. I was so little, and I feel like I've been in this not real world for 3 years. That I'm like, oh, I'm like turning 20 this year, and that was like when I was 15, turning 16.
I still think you're 16.
Yeah.
Rand's 14.
Everyone's frozen. Blue's like 3.
Yeah, like
Blue's
it's still
like 3 to me.
2021. Like,
Rand's
why
14.
no one's wearing masks anymore? What's going on? Like, stuck very much.
I think that's important that we bring that up, that the grief and like as something so big, so traumatic, it freezes you.
Yeah.
Like in a big, big way, your whole life.
Yeah.
Not just like that moment, not just for a year, but like here we are 3 years later and we're like, where are we?
No, I mean,
I feel like that happens because we all just push it down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
I think you're
just
right.
wants to accept it.
Yeah.
Like, we all accepted it.
Yeah.
Air quotes.
Air quotes.
No, I think I have moments and days, maybe even weeks where, like acceptance, I'm in, and then I fall out of it. I was going to say, though, like, what me and Keshia went through, obviously pretty bad, but to be 16 and 14, I remember, I don't remember what my day-to-day was exactly, but probably wake up, a couple shots of whiskey, some bong rips, talk about pushing it down, Rand, like, let's push this way down. And I just remember, Rand's going to school, Rand's struggling with math class, I'm just like, they're going to school? Like, I'm just, like, in awe of you guys, like, are they getting medals every day? Like, what? How are they doing anything?
I know.
And I just remember being, I never told you that. I don't know why, but like, so proud of you guys. Like, I don't know how you guys did that or how you're still doing it. But
mine was easy. I would go to the special ed class. And my teacher
you're basically special ed now?
My teacher would change my grades. It was Shannon's friend. And I went to her class.
It was easy.
She got fired the next year. It was great. I hung out with the kind of special ed kids all day.
Lindsay. I'm just going to wink at Lindsay right now.
That's hilarious.
She knows. You know.
Yeah. Even with that said, I was very, good job. Like, I don't know how you guys are doing it, but you are.
I feel like being so young, I feel like when I was hanging out, because my way of coping is I was just everywhere all the time. I was never home.
Yeah.
I was always
I do that
out of friends, sleeping over at friends, had a friend sleep over.
Busy.
Had boyfriend after boyfriend after boyfriend, just to have something, so I didn't have to think. Because it's a lot easier to think about, oh, this guy broke my heart, than 5 people in my family are dead. It's way easier to think about the
let's worry about this.
It's way easier to think about the.
I think that's why people
stuff.
drink. Let's talk about my drinking.
Yeah.
Not why I'm drinking. Let's talk about alcohol. Not that I saw my dad kill himself or whatever it is that people are.
Exactly. That's how I feel. I feel like it's easier to deal with a heartbreak than deal with the pain of 5. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
And so I feel like that was my thing, but I just was so distracted. like all the time. That's the way I coped. And then when I would come home, but when I would go out with my friends, I was like, oh, these people are just like normal teenagers who haven't had really anything happen to them.
I'd be
and
so mad at people.
I'm just here, and they're
Like,
all
that's what you're
talking.
mad about? Like,
Yeah.
in my own head, like, never out
That's
loud.
how I was, though. I was like, I'm so above the maturity level that, and then I found like a few close friends, like, you know, kind of would like empathize with me, but like a lot of them, like 95% of them, just like I felt like I was exhausted every time I come home because I was just like, they're so immature and they're fighting over stupid things, and like they all hate their parents and they all hate their siblings, and I'm just like, I would do anything to be in your position right now.
Yeah.
It's hard
I
for
feel
me.
like that's what you think. But then, like, you get to know everybody on a deeper level. You're like, we all have stuff. Actually.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I was what you said, Faith. I was in, and then I kind of discovered what Rand just said. Like, like I remember being mad at everyone, and then I came to the realization, like Rand just said, like, like
everyone's gone through something.
No one's talking about it. That's the only thing.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just a rookie.
And that's when I got my close group of friends where I'm like, oh, these people actually have something. But I couldn't deal with any surface level.
Exhaustion. You used the word. I want to talk about it real quick because I don't talk about it a lot, but the feeling of exhaustion. You guys feel that? Like just in your own head, like I'm exhausted right now with the conversations I've been having in my own head all day.
Yeah.
Yeah, very exhausting.
Yeah, so much.
I felt that today actually, like on the way home. I was just like, ugh.
Well, that's why, like when I found a spark with weightlifting, it's like there's not that in your head.
It's true.
Yeah. No,
when you're doing your skateboard, you're probably not thinking about that.
My one wheeling?
Yeah.
No, one wheeling.
It's just when you're in your bed alone.
You're
trying to sleep.
Yeah, that's when it all. Or in your car alone, driving.
How are you guys doing on, they want you to be happy, so be happy? How are you guys doing with that?
Like, people saying...
No, like Reace and Ryder, Kortni, Franki, Riggins, like, they want you to be happy, so why can't you just be happy? Or are you happy for them?
I feel like I'm happy. Most of the time.
Yeah, I think the way I would describe it is like, I'm happy.
Yeah.
Also miserable too, though. Like it's both for me. Like, and I didn't think that was possible. I used to think I had to pick one. Like they couldn't coexist. Like you either loved your family and you're gonna be miserable now for the rest of your life, or you can be happy, but then you just don't love them that much then. And I kind of thought it was like this weird battle, and then I learned like, oh, it's actually both. And then that's kind of when I discovered, like, oh, everyone's hurting, actually, type of thing.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I told you this in the Rider podcast, but the third year has been the hardest year for me, personally. And I'm not, like, because, like, the first year, it was, like, everything was a blur. I was always doing something. It didn't even feel real. Second year is, like, kind of when it started to set in, but, like, so many things were still happening, and I was in a relationship at the time, and there was just like a lot of things. This year it feels like, oh, like they're actually like they're never coming back, and there's so many big milestones and like just so many things, and I'm like still just doing stupid stuff to try and not think about it, and I'm just like, dang, like they'd be freaking disappointed in me, which is not true. Like they all probably have done, like, my dad and Kortni have probably done the same stupid things at one point and made mistakes, and they're just looking down and be like, this is a big learning lesson for you. Proud of you that you went through it. But I feel like that's kind of how, like, I know that they're happy that I'm like still getting up and doing my thing, but I'm like, I could be doing a lot better. But
for me it's like part of me wants to be happy for them, and then part of me just wants to be miserable that they're gone. Kind of torn down the middle.
I think I have a hard time with, like, the actual physical feeling of exhaustion and not knowing how to, like, handle that and also show up in all the ways that I need to for the present life that I want to live. And I'm like, but I'm so tired. So how do I honor my exhaustion, and how do I also show up and, go hard, like David Goggins would say or whatever.
Not DG.
DG.
He's too much for me. Like
He's too much, dude.
You're curling as you're talking. Like, You can do
6
it after.
miles every day.
You can do it after.
Stay hard.
You can do
Or
it
before.
after.
You can do it after, bro. But you know what I'm saying?
No, yeah, for sure. No, I think that's why I like the podcast so much, is it just kind of allows me this area to vent and to cry and to go there, and then I'm good for a while. Like, I purged it out of me. Kind of like therapy, honestly. Just replaced it with therapy. But yeah, it allows me to feel all the misery and all those emotions that I want to be heard. And then it's easier to keep moving forward.
I think that.
That's kind of how I'm balancing it, I think.
I like that.
But like, I just want to live a life where I'm always remembering them and respecting them and paying tribute to that 10%, but then still moving forward with it and loving life and being there for Blue and giving Blue the best life and just trying to have the both of best worlds, I guess.
Yeah,
just
and they coexist.
Yeah.
I think honestly, like the thing that helps me the most is like, especially after this last family reunion, I was like, this is like what like, and I realize this every time I go and visit family. I'm like, this is where I feel the best, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I feel their absence a lot when, you know, like everyone's at the table playing catchphrase and whatever. Like, I feel it there, but like, I also feel like, why do you think I'm always in St. George?
Right.
Like,
just move down.
I know.
Go.
But like, it's because I love these two.
Yeah. No, I just did a podcast with 3 of Kortni's friends, and I felt like Kortni was in the room almost.
Mm-hmm.
She felt so alive. I
Yeah.
loved it so much.
Yeah.
Wrapping this thing up, anything else you guys want to say before we're done here?
Slap shot regatta.
Slap shot regatta. God, I just miss them so much, you know? 3 years is just like a long time. Like, it's just, like, take all the emotions out of it. Like, that's just a long time for the people you love to, you just haven't seen or talked to them.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it harder, too. Like, Faith's talking about how year 3 is the hardest year, and I think it's the hardest year for me, too. But I also feel like I'm stronger. So, like, maybe it doesn't feel like the hardest. Not sure if that's making sense.
I don't feel like that at all. I
Yeah.
feel like it's the hardest, and I don't feel stronger.
I feel like it's the hardest, but I'm kind of like, yeah, like, okay, like, I can do this type of thing. Before it was like, I can't do this. And now it's like, this is going to be awful, but I can do this.
I agree with that.
I think maybe that's a shift I've made. But the pain is very much the same, if not worse.
The pain, the anxiety attacks.
Do you get anxiety attacks, Ren?
No.
You guys do, though? I used to get them so bad. I don't know if anxiety attacks are the right word. More like pain attack.
That's
Just like grief attack.
Yeah.
It's not like social anxiety necessarily. It's just I need to melt
crawl out of
and
your
just
skin.
cry and
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Wrapping it up though. What do you guys think? Any last words? Say something to Ran and Ryder, or say a cool quote, or
You meant Reace and Ryder.
what did I say?
Ran and Ryder.
Ran and Ryder.
It just kind of goes together.
I'm sure we've made many mistakes on this podcast.
Yeah, we have. Ryan will fix it.
No, honestly, I'll say, like, Ran, when I heard your voice, I'm like, no way. Like, thanks for showing up, man. And Keshia and Faith, I've had you on before, but I think feeling alone is one of the worst feelings on this planet. And I never really knew what it meant to feel alone until he died. And, like, you can be in a room full of people and be really completely alone. And I didn't really understand that. But talking about my pain has helped me find others that are going through similar things. And you guys showing up today means a lot to me. And we're in this together is how I see it. And I think, if anything, I hope this podcast shows people who listening that talking is important. Because, like, how much did we learn about our stuff? Because we haven't talked about it. So And then I just love you guys so much. I did have one more question real quick, and then you guys can wrap it up and we'll be done. But they just spin for me. Kortni, Riggins, Ryder, Franki. Did I get them all? Kortni, Riggins, Reace, Ryder, Franki. They're still spinning. Like, I can't grieve or talk to one of them for too long before the other ones slide in. Is that similar with you guys, or is it just how are you guys experiencing that?
Same for me.
Like, I'll literally be talking to Court and then and then Franki enters, and it's just I feel frustrated and anxious that I can't even grieve.
Yeah, it's like
correctly.
My brain.
Because another thought I have is, what would it be like if just one of them died? Like, what would my grief look like? And like, do I even know what it's like to lose a daughter? Or like, is my grief over Franki just kind of being overflowed with Riggins? Like, I don't even know. I don't even know what it'd be like to just have the pain of a dog. Like, and it almost frustrates me.
Mm-hmm. Really
and sometimes I wish we did a funeral for each of them individually. Like, they all deserve their own thing. Anyway, those are my last thoughts. Just rambling. What do you guys think?
I don't know. I guess I would say, like, I love you guys. You're my hero, Faith and Ran. And sorry I haven't been able to show up in all the ways that I wish I could. And thanks for being here. It's brave.
Ran looks at Faith like,
Love you guys too. You guys are my best friends.
yeah.
So.
Ran, you don't love us? You're not going to say it.
Dude, people pass that word out so easy.
Oh, all right. I like that. I respect that.
But do you love us though?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Good.
I want to get that on camera.
But like, do you feel that way? Like, saying it is hard?
I'm actually, I want people to know I love them because they might be gone. So, like, I actually maybe overuse it and don't treat it with the same respect that you do, Ran. I actually kind of go the other way with it.
Yeah.
But maybe I shouldn't. I don't know.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's true.
Have fun in Hawaii.
Can we end with this? Can Faith and Ran and maybe even you just say your favorite memory of Reace?
All right. Ooh, my favorite? Mm-hmm. I got a couple. Can I go first?
Yeah, go first.
Before he had his license, he took the car to... What's that? It's Hot Dog on a Stick now. It used to be Central Park. He took the car to Central Park, and Mom found out and laid into him. And I just remember, like, I'm so glad I'm not Reace right now. I also remember the one time I got grounded my entire life is that me and Reace were I was really mad at Reace, and I threw a pair of these metal handcuffs at him, and it cut him in the forehead. Got sent to my room. Reace taught me how to drive, took me out in his car and taught me how to drive, and my mom caught us, and she was very angry one time.
Sounds like grandma's.
Oh, I just have to mention the WWF wrestling. Like, we were all about it on the tramp. And, like, he knew, like, I was in elementary school, and he'd let me suplex him and choke slam. Like, I feel like I'm lifting up this huge, like, I loved it so much. His name was Mirror. That was his WWF wrestling name on the tramp, was Mirror, because he'd mirror all the other people's moves and steal them.
I didn't know that.
I would, there's a couple. What about you guys?
Probably during COVID, me, my mom, and my dad would watch Amazing Race every single night. Like, one episode of Amazing Race, all of COVID. And I'd make those, like, really awful, like, microwave cookie brownie things.
Don't say
You,
they're
like,
awful.
add water in there, and it was kind of gross. But, like, I was obsessed with them. But I'd make one of make one of those. We watch an episode. And you've seen Amazing Race, right? Yeah. And yeah, me and my dad were going to go on it. We had this whole plan. We were like, this is what we'd be good at. This is not. We're going to start training and everything.
You guys would be a good team.
Yeah. I feel like we'd be a great team.
I think you were.
I think that's probably one of my favorites. And just every time He'd tease me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was a teaser.
Yeah.
Ran, any memories?
Probably when he'd come to my football games.
And get kicked out of every
And
single one
like
of
he
them?
does, I don't think he understood football. Like, I think he would come and just like watching it, but like he thought he was playing. I think like he would go talk to the refs during.
He didn't know how to play basketball. That makes sense. Like, I'm like, dude, that's a foul. He's like, no, it's not.
He was always yelling, always getting in the ref's face.
He would. Why he would though?
Every time.
That's great.
I think he has like a really like addictive mindset too. Like he wants to get good at something, he's gonna do it. He wants to read 10
Tunnel
books,
vision
he's
on
gonna
it.
do the 10 books.
I think, yeah, he does.
Yeah.
He did. He was like, he had this passion. Your dad had this compulsion to be the best man he could. Like, he was obsessed with it. He's like, how can I become the best race sawyer? The best version of myself. And he would. He was all about that. Love you guys. Thanks for showing up. Have fun in Hawaii.
Love you
It's
too.
been 3 years. Kortni, Riggins, Franki, Race, Ryder, we love you. And life's 10% what happens to you and 90% what you're going to do about it.